So that, we don't need
I
no
just
water.
got an alert that Plane Flare is going live.
Did you really?
Yeah.
That's what that was. You'd had too much Taco Bell.
No, my tummy has been rumbling.
Right?
Smoothies.
And that. So, all right. Hello. Hello, everybody. We have a special guest in the studio today. This is Jimmy. Say hi, Jimmy.
Hi, Jimmy.
Jimmy from Tucson. Many of you know him from various chats around the internet. He's rather famous. He doesn't look at all like his avatar. We're going to do a class action suit later for false advertising.
Are we actually live right now?
Yeah, we're live, bro.
Cool.
What? Don't freeze on me. Man, he's not going to freeze. You may have to speak a little louder, though. And that, anyways, Gwen is on vacation.
Ah.
Cool. Matt, howdy Penelope, howdy Michelle, howdy Rebecca. And yeah, we're kicking it here in the desert.
Seems like it's delayed, is it?
It's really warm. It is delayed.
Oh, okay.
Why is it delayed? It's communist. I don't know if it's communist or not. And that. So our happy pills have worn off. Nobody brought any coffee today. And I was hoping we got an offer of some lemon water. Thank you very much, Rebecca. Distilled water is good. That's always good here in the desert. And do you do distilled water at your place?
No, like distill my own.
No, I mean, what do you drink? Drink tap water?
Bottled water.
Bottled water? That's distilled.
Is it?
It's supposed to be.
Actually, something we do with our bottled water first is we store it in our prayer closet, and we have a huge wall of water, and it's in there. It's on a rotation, but that's where we pray. And like a lot of people know that water is programmable. They've seen the things about, if you like, they take pictures of it. Have you ever seen that? Like,
yes,
the crystallization of it.
Mm-hmm.
So we just thought that would be an appropriate place to store our water.
Well, there's the crystallization.
We drink it.
Yeah, the crystallization, and then there's also how it reacts to certain frequencies.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Like your hat, right? Yehovah.
Yeah.
And that reacts to that word differently, to the name of God differently than other things. Howdy, sunrise. And probably hit the same time.
Delayed. Oh, maybe it's just delayed when you have that screen up.
Yeah, that's way delayed.
Cool.
So, anyways, Jimmy has decided he was going to talk to us about his testimony. That's a good one, too. Not that anybody has a bad testimony, but this one's pretty good. I mean, I don't know what to say. There's nothing like an entertainment factor or anything. It's something that really helps us as believers to hear other people's story. And I think his is something that a lot of us can relate to. A lot of us can relate to. I'm going to fire this cameraman. Anyways, so let's talk.
All right.
Apparently you were born at some point.
I was actually born February 21st, 1976.
Okay. And what's your social security number for everybody out there?
Social security number, blood type.
Okay. Anyways,
that's for another show.
Right.
Anyways, so I was born in the Silicon Valley. I grew up in a normal track home. I had awesome, loving parents, 2 little sisters. Grew up in the same home that my grandparents raised my parents in, or my mom in, I should say, and my aunts and uncles on my mom's side. Your typical suburban neighborhood, went to the same elementary school that my mom and my aunts and uncles went to. And we had no religious upbringing, for lack of better words. I wouldn't even call it lukewarm. It was, I ice cold Christianity.
Was it a secular house?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, the only time we would say grace before like Christmas dinner and Easter dinner and
Right.
you know, those kind of things. Never really went to church. There was a small portion of my life where I remember my mom going to church, getting involved in the church, getting baptized, and oddly enough, I remember that time in my life as being a very happy time in my life. I remember seeing my mom being very happy, and but it was fleeting. My dad was not a believer at all. My mom was the spiritual backbone, if there was any spiritual backbone in our house. She was the one that always led grace or led to prayers, not my dad. My dad's father died when my dad was 12, and he said, if there's a God, why would a God take away a 12-year-old's dad? And that he stuck with it.
Right.
Into adulthood, that was his thought. I believe he's come around a long way. He's definitely not saved, but at least he has a belief in something now. There's something to work with, because before there was nothing to even work with. He was
so the clay is softened up.
Right, exactly. So I was a kind of a rebellious kid from the beginning, but I wasn't a bad kid. I talked too much in class, did not play well with others, you know, that kind of stuff. I never really liked school, never really did good at it. Didn't really, I just never liked it. I was never happy there, never comfortable there. You know, Jonathan and I were just talking earlier that how that sometimes I wonder if it wasn't what I was doing wrong, but maybe what I was doing right, you know, now looking back on how these schools are indoctrination centers.
Right. Now, did you have hobbies when you were a kid?
Yeah. I was real big into extreme sports, skateboarding, BMX racing. I actually was sponsored. I traveled all around the nation. I was number 77 in the nation. My uncle actually got into single digits, and he was at big sponsors.
Wait, you were number 77.
77.
Okay. Anyways.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was my smallest number.
That
I got down to. My uncle actually made it. He was number 2 in the nation, but the only reason why he didn't take the first place is because he was never able to race the first place person in order to get his number.
Right.
But we had, you know, the big Winnebago motorhome with all the decals on the side of it, and loaded all the bikes up and went to all the nationals. That was our thing. That was our family thing. We were big into that. So I had a very normal childhood. And somewhere around, I would say the age of 17, I was probably a junior in high school.
Mm-hmm.
I got my first girlfriend, and that ended bad. This is a girl I lost my virginity to. I didn't have any concept of not doing that until you were married. You know, I just, I had no idea what sin was. I didn't know anything about the Bible. I didn't know anything about Christianity. I just was trying to be a good person, and I had this girlfriend, and I thought I loved her. And well, when we broke up, things really changed for me, right about that time. And I was like, you know, again, like 17, something like that. And 17, maybe 18. And I hadn't drank. I hadn't touched any kind of drugs. I didn't smoke cigarettes, nothing. But this breakup from this girlfriend crushed me. I remember my mom being kind of worried about it. And
about the breakup.
Yeah.
Right.
And my reaction to it, I trashed my room. I pulled all my dressers down, and I was just very angry. And I think I started drinking that week because I wanted something to numb that pain. It was painful that she had cheated on me, and I thought I was going to marry this girl, and you know, whatever. I was crushed. That led to a repetitive cycle all the way into my adult life of I would dealt with whatever the pain was with drinking. Later on in my life, it became drugs, but it was the same pattern over and over again. I would get crushed. I would start drinking or using drugs. Then I would get healthy and I would meet a different girl, and the same pattern would just keep repeating itself.
So when you would meet a different girl, would you be in recovery already, or they would lead you to recovery?
Right. I went to no, I would already be in recovery. I went to my first Alcoholics Anonymous meeting when I was 16 years, or right after that breakup. So around 17, 18. It's kind of a blur. Once that happened and I started drinking, there's a big blur from, 20 to 30. It's just a big blur. And, I already said the year I was born, so I'm a decade or more older than 30. So with that being said, I went to my first Alcoholics Anonymous meeting. I had only drank maybe 10 times in my life, but I drank alcoholically from the beginning. As soon as I found that stuff, it was, I just couldn't put it down.
Did you make a differentiation? Like, I think some of them, don't they do it different? They make a difference, or they mark a difference between an alcoholic and an alcohol abuser?
Yes, they do that. The invisible line is what they call it. Once you cross that invisible line, you can't go back. You can't turn a pickle back into a cucumber.
No, wow, that's some interesting terminology.
Yeah.
Anyways,
so once you're pickled, you're pickled.
All right.
There is a lot of programming in the program. They call it the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. And that was the first place I'd heard of God, a little G. I didn't know it as a little G then. I was always told that there are many names to only one God. I no longer believe that. I believe that there's many gods, only one living God, only the God that we serve, Abraham and Isaac, the God from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob that we serve today, Yahweh, Yahshua. But I didn't know that then. I didn't know anything then, and I was seeking, and I honestly I knew that there was something out there, and I feel like I was definitely led astray. And now that I've done a lot of research into Alcoholics Anonymous, I definitely believe it's a lie from the pit of hell, no matter how you look at it.
Right. But they help a lot of people.
So
isn't it? It helps somebody. Isn't that good?
Here's the thing: is that if you're going to turn your will and your life over to the care of some kind of entity or deity, you better make darn sure that you know what that entity or deity is. And I submit to you that it should be the Most High. I never even heard the term the Most High. I didn't even know what that was.
I thought that was somebody
that
wouldn't give up the bomb.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. And I just, I get mad when I think about it now, because I wasted so much of my life feeling like I was just, at the time, I felt like I was doing right. I felt like I was being a good guy. I felt like I was doing the right things. And, it couldn't have been further from the truth. I was still living debaucherously. I was still in such sin. I just wasn't drinking. But the same thing I was still repeating the same behaviors over and over and over. I would get cleaned up. I would go to these meetings. I would surrender to this God of my own understanding. Like they tell you, there's something out there. There is a God, and it's whatever you want it to be. So it was you trying to, and I knew I'd heard about Christianity, and that seemed like I mean, if I'm honest with myself, I just didn't want to play by the rules. That seemed legalistic. That seemed like there was way too many rules. Not being able to have sex. Like, are you kidding me? I don't want to serve that God. And that's exactly what I felt like. I'd rather go to this place where they tell me I can create my own God and my own stuff than, you know what? And when you look back into it, all the mystery schools and all this stuff, they all have the same common thread. You know, Aleister Crowley taught to thy own, or do what thou wilt.
Do what thou wilt. Right.
At the top of every AA coin, it says, to thy own self be true. Do what thou wilt, to thy own self be true. I mean, they sound very similar. When you start researching out Alcoholics Anonymous, you realize that the founder was tied in with Crowley and tied in with all that. And it's a cult.
And who was the founder?
William Wilson, Bill Wilson.
Bill Wilson.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
that's kind of like John Smith. There's a lot of Bill Wilsons out there, so make sure you're railing against the correct one.
If you just look up the occult roots of Alcoholics Anonymous, there's plenty of stuff out there.
Right. Well, doesn't their coin, isn't it like a triangle?
It's a circle with a triangle in the middle of it.
Right. Now, is there a magic wand in there?
There should be like a little wizard. I mean,
right?
It's once my eyes are opened, you guys. So when I talked with Gwen and Plain the other day, and kind of gave the long version of my story, and
we'll be selling that as a box set.
Yeah, and it's the same thing. I wanted to live in sin and think I was serving God, and that's really what it boiled down to. And I didn't want to play by the rules. And, you know, I studied all kinds of stuff. I studied Buddhism, Hinduism, shamanism, meditation. I was genuinely searching for God in everywhere except for where I was supposed to be searching for God. And I kind of use the analogy that I stole from an atheist. It's like walking down a cereal aisle, and there's all these colorful boxes, and they all claim to have prizes in them, and they do, but they're small little crappy prizes, and they're very short-lived, and they usually break within a couple of days. That's all these other religions. That's all these other little G's out there. And they're all the most colorful and the most vibrant, and they're all put at eye level. But it's the one that's the least colorful, that has the most rules, that the rules are no longer burdensome to me. I love serving Yahweh now. And it's been a blessing beyond my wildest dreams. But at the time, it was the least colorful box. It was the least, it had the most rules, in my opinion, at the time. And it was the one that I went to last. Mm-hmm. But it was the one that saved my butt.
Yeah. So Jay is relating to this because he says he did the NA thing.
Yeah, it's all the same. It doesn't matter whether it's AA, NA, CA.
Okay, now what's CA?
Cocaine Anonymous, Marijuana Anonymous, Love and Sex Addict Anonymous, Overeaters Anonymous. They've had the 12 steps is the biggest spiritual movement since Catholicism. It is huge.
Now,
there's a meeting going on every hour of every day in every city at any given time. We could walk out this door right now and actually, dude, there's a huge, right there around the corner from here, dude, there's a big circle with a triangle over, I'm not going to talk about streets because we're, whatever, but it's right there, dude. Yeah. Like right there. When I was driving over here, I was like, whoa, he lives right by this big, huge AA building.
Well, let me ask let's see, you were talking about the AA, CA, addiction, buildings, meetings. I don't know. Keep going, and then I'll interrupt you when I remember.
That's fine. Yeah, right when I get on the roll, interrupt me.
Right.
So, here's the thing: is that it gets you caught in this.
Oh, I know what I was going to say.
What's that?
That have you looked into? Isn't one of the branches of the Illuminati or the Masons? Don't they have like 13 steps up their pyramid?
I haven't looked into that.
And like you can't get to the 13th because that one's reserved for the G.
That's funny you should say that because there's 12 steps in recovery. However, there's a hidden 13th step that no one talks about. And it's not a real step, but it's people are referred to as a 13th stepper if they sleep with new people coming into the program. It's like you're not supposed to be doing that. Like, that's a newcomer. They're new and their sobriety's on the line. You shouldn't be trying to date a new person. And if you do that, then you're called the 13th stepper. It's just funny that you bring that up.
Interesting that it's
I've done.
It's got the sex involved there too.
Dude,
so there's that.
It's and the thing is I gave this thing 100%. I dove in. I got super involved. I was going to doing H&I work, hospitals and institutions. I was going to treatment centers, recovery houses. I was going to high schools. I was talking to young people. I was preaching this lie from the pit of hell because it's all I knew. It reminds me, again, you'll hear me say a lot, pardon me of my ignorance, because I am a baby Christian. I am new in this walk. I am saved. I am filled with the Holy Spirit. But my biblical knowledge is lacking, and I'm working on that. But who was it that was killing the Christians?
Everyone?
No. That got, was it Paul?
Oh, Paul, yeah.
Yeah, so Paul.
Saul.
Yeah, Saul, yeah, exactly. So I can relate to that because I was preaching this message that I don't know how many people that I brought right into the same vicious cycle that I was living. How many people did I say, you know what? Because here's the thing. If you're being taken over by some kind of spirit, a spirit of addiction, a spirit of alcoholism, a spirit of drug addiction, and you go and you hit your knees and submit to some other deity, how do you know it's not the same deity that caused you the problem in the first place?
Right.
And it says, you know what? Okay. And all of a sudden you're not drinking anymore. You get your health back and you're like, oh, it was God. Really? Why that same deity is just sitting there going, because now you're serving it. Now that's what these things want, is they want worship. And so you're worshiping the same deity that put you in that situation in the first place.
Yeah. KC says, wondering if it's why the Alcoholics Anonymous is the model in most movies, Hollywood movies. Yeah, absolutely.
It's way bigger than people think.
Yep, it's huge.
Yeah. And then it got all. If you start researching the background of it, how it got started to get funded and started to get. The court system started telling people to go to this place when they were having issues, and how we all know that, the court systems and who they're run by. And I'm not saying everyone that's a judge is a Mason, but most are. There is a lot.
Yeah. Any small town in America you go into, as soon as you enter town, there's, Rotary Club, Lions Club,
exactly.
The Knights of Columbus, whoever.
Yeah. And it's all tied together. So I just went on this vicious cycle of getting sober, getting physically fit for the wrong reasons, all vanity to attract a woman. I would attract a woman. The relationship would just be filled with filth. For lack of better words, we can all fill in the details. It was horrible, and then I would think I'm in love, but I'm really in lust. And I missed it.
Yeah, we could, Bowman.
Yeah, Bo.
Yeah.
What's up, man, by the way?
I'm telling you, a box set.
Yeah, we could definitely do a box set. The whole 12 steps are designed to keep you from the Creator and the true freedom from sin, not just the chemical, from sin, and the conversion that takes place, and being spirit-filled and actually knowing your authority and having power over all this stuff. Because the program over and over and over teaches powerlessness. Submit to something of your own understanding. It doesn't, when looking back now through a new pair of glasses, now that the scale's been pulled off my eyes, it's like, wow, it's Luciferian doctrine.
Yeah.
It's really what it boils down to.
So got the cycle established of, when I used to live at this coffee place called the Safe House Espresso Bar.
I know the Safe House very well. That's a very big AA.
Well, they gave me a T-shirt because I was living there,
Right.
and it said reuse, relapse, recover, repeat in a circle, and it was a gun. It was a pistol in the middle of this circle that said that, and that's pretty much what any addiction is.
You know that coffee shop is actually an AA coffee shop. I don't know if you know that or not, but that's where that's where you go to meet the girl.
Well, this was one here in town
On Speedway.
Yeah,
I know exactly which one you're talking about, dude.
Yep.
Yes, I spent a lot of late nights there.
I closed it more than once.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I mean, it's a cool coffee shop, and you obviously weren't there for those reasons, but it was a known hotspot for people that were in recovery.
right? And that. So we got this cycle of repeating. You each time you have a relapse, it gets progressively worse.
Absolutely.
Is that fair to say?
Absolutely, progressively worse, more debaucherous, more different woman, and every time, I didn't realize at the time that these women that I were attracting are also demonically possessed in one way, shape, or form. Some kind of possession, some kind of oppression, some kind of something was going on with them because they weren't saved. Something was going on with me, and we just get together and just share our little demons.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you can have some of my demons, I can have some, and it would over and over. So then,
your demon's making me mad.
right? Oh,
Anyways.
the same thing over and over and over and over and over. And then where was I? So, I can't even count how many times this same cycle repeated itself.
Lots.
I would get cleaned up. I would get back in the gym, and I would get my new clothes, and I'd get the new car, and then I'd get the new girl, and then I'd relapse, and it would all just crumble, and I'd end, and it got so bad. I eventually ended up homeless in the inner city of Chicago with a needle in my arm. And that's when it got real bad. I had been married, divorced. I had a kid that I was not taking care of. And it just got really, really bad. I ended up getting in trouble with the law big time. A big high profile case. I was looking at 12 years, and I got blessed.
Do you remember the missing uranium? No, I'm just kidding. Okay. Anyways.
Yeah, no.
So you got.
You know what? I could go into the details of that case, but I'm not going to because of my past. I have a bad habit of telling that story to try to make myself look cool, be cool, and there was nothing cool about it. It was nothing but a bunch of dope fiend BS.
Right. That's one of the things I've heard about NA, and I've noticed that with people that are recovered is it doesn't take very, one or two recollections, and then it's kind of a contest. Oh yeah, well this time,
sure,
it was.
It's called a drunk-a-log, a drug-a-log, a whatever,
right?
And like I said, I got real into the program. I was sponsoring guys. I was just basically perpetuating the lie. That's what was going on. So it got bad. And I would love to say that, the jail time or whatever got me sober then, and it didn't, and it just continued. The same cycle continued. The longest I was able to stay clean, I think, was like 5 years, something like that. But it was, again, my life was still, I had these glimpses of goodness, but there was nothing sustaining. I had no power. I had a form of godliness, but lacking the power of God.
Right. Right.
Because I didn't have the Holy Spirit. I was not spirit filled. Therefore, the demons were just beating they were all over me all the time. Even when I thought I was doing good, I wasn't doing good. I was a predator. I was out there chasing women to seek my own gratification, period, all the time. That's it. It was constantly trying to fill something inside me that was a void. That void was Jesus. That was the void. And I didn't know that. I had no clue. So fast forward.
Okay, so you're in Chicago.
And
what got you away from Chicago?
Okay, what got me away from Chicago was
the big away.
Okay,
the big away.
So
is it fair to say there was a leaving of Chicago and a return, and a leave and a return?
Once I left Chicago, I never went back.
Oh, okay.
I
Okay.
have not been back to Chicago since I left. Oh, I was federally extradited back to Chicago at one point for this case.
There was no willing return to Chicago. Okay.
Yeah, no, there was a gnarly extradition process that took place, but that's a whole. That's again that gets into that.
That's the fourth DVD.
Yeah.
So okay.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I'm trying to stay away from what it used to be like and focus more on what happened and what it's like now.
Right. Right.
So, I ended up finally completing. I ended up dodging or getting a blessing, and I didn't have to go to prison. I spent 11 months fighting the case. I got a drug and alcohol treatment program. Again, they just perpetuate the cycle. They stuck me in another program for more programming, and so I go. I'm getting the chills. Anyways, the good ones. Anyways, I go to another program. I finish the program. This time it's successful, but I'm done with AA. I'm like, I'm not going back to that place. I don't know what it is. It hasn't worked. What makes me think it's going to work again? I completed their little state program, met another girl in the program, left. Once I completed my probation, got off paper, got all that cleared up. As soon as I could leave Chicago, as a matter of fact, I subpoenaed the courts in order to get off probation early.
Right.
First time the judge has ever seen anybody do that. I filed my own motion, went to the court and said, look, I completed everything. I have no family here. I want to go back. I want to go to Arizona where my family is. The judge is like, what does your probation officer have to say about this? How can you even come here? And I said, he goes, go talk to your probation officer and come back to me with a letter from her that says it's okay. And then I'll even look at this case. I went and talked to her. She wrote me a letter. I went back to court. He said, fine. I got off probation like a year and a half early.
Wow.
Which is almost unheard of. But it was like, look, this is what I've done. I want to get out of here. I don't want to be around Chicago anymore. Right. So
I worked corrections for 4 years and have family in the system.
Yeah.
Used to on the other side. Anyways, the
convict and the CO.
Yeah, the convict and the CO.
It's our running joke.
So they, I've never seen anybody get off probation or parole early.
It doesn't happen.
Yeah, it just doesn't happen.
They just don't do that. Yep. He looked at me like I was an idiot. But when I went back in the next time, he was just like, okay. So I come out to Arizona. I've been clean for about 3 years.
When you came out, were they playing the Scorpion song? No. No? Okay.
So I get out here to Arizona. I've been clean a couple years. I moved out here with a girl from Chicago. She came out here with me. I get out here. Of course, that relationship didn't work either. We ended up, breaking up right away. I ended up moving back in with my parents who live out here, and she kind of went her own way. Whatever, another one of the same cycle over and over again. Different girl, different town, different place, different drug, whatever. It's all the same cycle over and over again. So I get out here, and I started going to AA again out here because I didn't want to relapse. I didn't want to fall back into the drugs, and so I fell back into the program. I eventually fell short again out here. Out here in Arizona, started drinking again, started using drugs again, and it got bad. Now at this time, I had met a girl who's my wife now, amazing woman, by the way. We got together. When I met her, I was sober when I met her. And she liked to party, but she was just a drinker. She was young. She's younger than me. So we had this relationship. She knew me as someone that was sober, someone that loved God, the little G, whatever God that was I was serving. I don't even know. It was a God of my own understanding.
Now, is she little G God or big G God, or is she just...
She's nothing at this point, really. Okay. Kind of just, I guess there's something, but doesn't really follow anything.
Now, I'm going to go back all the way to the beginning. You said you were, well, not the beginning, but you said you were looking at like Buddhism, Hinduism, shamanism, yoga, all that. Can you kind of see a similarity in those where, because I hear a lot of secular people say, oh, they all have the same basic
I used to
foundation.
constantly repeat the same phrase. I used to say, I'm not religious. I'm spiritual. I'm spiritual. And I used to say, religion is for those of you that are scared to go to hell. Spirituality is for those of us that have been there and don't want to go back.
Right.
And that's what we used to. And you know what? It scares me to say that now. Scares me. Because I know what the Bible tells me hell is now. And I ain't gonna want nothing to do with that. Period. And I'm covered under the blood of the Lamb now. But I wasn't then.
Amen. Right.
And so no, she was just kind of non-religious, party girl, whatever. So we go to bars together, and I'd be the designated driver for her and all of her friends. And, was not living for the Lord, was still living in sin 100%. She gets pregnant. And it was scary for both of us. We're like, whoa, now what do we do? And there's another part of my testimony that we kind of skipped over, where I had been with a woman that actually had an abortion. And, part of my testimony is that I had broken every single commandment before I even ever had a driver's license. And it kills me to say that. And that's part of why I go out to the abortion clinics now, because
you don't want to see people
make that mistake. No. And when I see these little Catholics with their rosaries and they're 100 years old, these young bucks pull up in their car with their girlfriend. These little old people, man, they have a form of godliness, but lacking the power of God. This young buck is not going to listen to these old Catholic people. They go right past him. And I come out there with my shofar and I'm like, bro, I've been where you're at. Don't do it. And I get their attention. And they hear me. They hear my voice. Not that they hear the
Spirit, the Holy Spirit speaking through you.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly, bro. Exactly. And that's what I feel like I'm called. I have done so much nasty crap in my life that the rest of my life has to be dedicated to the Father, period. Doesn't
Amen.
matter what it is that I'm doing. I don't care if I'm walking the grocery store. I don't care if I'm at the mall. Any opportunity I get to share the gospel. And the gospel in 2 words is that take me. That's it. God came down and said, take me. Just the same way we would do for our kids. If we were caught in that position, we would say, no, don't take my kid, take me. And that's what Jesus did. That's what God did. He came down here as a form of a man and said, take me. So, but I didn't know that then, and here we got this baby coming. And, we thank God we have this beautiful little child now, and she's 5 years old. She's amazing. I had relapsed after she was born, and my wife left, and she's like, I can't be around this. We were fighting, arguing all the time. She left. I continued to be a bartender, and I was lost. I was back in the drugs bad. And I don't know what happened, but she came back to me. I started dating some other girl after about 6-8 months of not being with my wife anymore. And when she saw that, it pissed her off. And she's like, look, we got to figure this thing out. This other girl's got to go, and you need to get your act cleaned up. And I was just beaten down. I'm like, I can't do this again. I've done this so many times. I can't do it again. And for the first time, I looked to the most uncolorful cereal box. I went to the Bible, and I didn't understand it. It didn't make sense. I couldn't read it. I didn't read. It didn't make sense to me. It was like foreign, and I put it aside. And I knew that something had to. I knew that there was something out there. I knew that there was a God. I had felt it before, and the best analogy I can use is my whole life. There was like this clear plastic wall. and God was on the other side, and I was on this side. And I could push and I could touch God, and God could touch me, and I could interact with God and he could interact with me. But there was still always this curtain. And it wasn't until I heard that God, the real living God, his words are in the Bible, he's real. It wasn't until then that I felt like the plastic got zipped and I stepped on the other side. And then I was walking with God. That's the best way I can describe it. It was there. I knew he was there, but I wasn't spirit filled. I did not have the Holy Spirit in me. I was not submitting my will and my life to Creator, to Yahweh. I didn't know who Yahweh was. I didn't know who Jesus was. I didn't know who Yeshua was. I didn't know any of these words. I never heard him before. I didn't know what salvation was. I didn't know what any of this stuff was. All I knew was this God of my own understanding that this 12-step lie was teaching me, and that's all I knew. So thank God for my wife. She has been a rock.
Now, did she turn to scripture, to
Not
the
yet.
Bible?
Not yet. No, not yet. So I had to do something. I'm strung out on heroin at this point. So she drove me down to the city, and I got on a methadone program, and I have chronic back pain. I've had major back. I don't anymore. A lot of that's been delivered, and I've been healed by the Father.
Amen.
That's a whole nother story. Chronic pain. Do I still have some pain? Yeah. Am I immobilized anymore? No. And that's all through the power of the Lord. So I got on methadone, and I'm like, you know what? I have chronic pain. The methadone started to work once you get to a certain, whatever. It took the pain away. I didn't have cravings to do heroin anymore, and I started to kind of get in this somewhat of a normal semblance of life.
Right.
Not drinking anymore, not doing any of that. I still smoking pot. As a matter of fact, I ended up getting a job with the largest dispensary in Tucson. And
for those who are wondering, Arizona has medical marijuana.
Yeah.
But no, we're not going to legalize it. Okay. Anyways,
I get a job, and so just smoking pot, and I'm on my methadone, and that's it. Okay. I'm not going to meetings anymore. I'm over those. I'm just going to focus on my family. As long as I don't go back to the alcohol and the dope, as long as I stick to my little pot, methadone, I'll be fine.
You're reading scripture at this time.
Not
Somewhat.
quite yet.
Okay.
I'm interested in it.
Uh-huh.
Or I'm not yet. I picked it up and put it down. I was still looking. It was still another cereal box to me at that point. At this point. So I did not think I was going to be able to get a job at a medical marijuana dispensary. I did not think it was going to happen. I'm a 5-time over-convicted felon. Like, there's no way. You have to have a clean background. Somehow I got my DA card, my dispensary agent card, and I got the job. So I'm thinking, this is awesome, right? So I get the job. I start getting promoted. I end up becoming their propagation manager. I'm doing all their genetic manipulation, all their crossbreeding, all their cloning. I'm kind of becoming a big deal there. I'm running a multi-million-dollar facility. And I just keep moving up in ranks up there. Now, I don't know anything about signs, symbols. I don't know anything about the Illuminati. I don't know anything about Freemasonry. I don't know anything about witchcraft. I don't know anything about any of this stuff at all. In my mind, that's all just make-believe. I don't believe any of it. I don't know anything about it. So the guy that I'm working for that bought this dispensary, who's a multi-millionaire, is changing the logo to a pyramid with a pot leaf in the middle of it. And that's a whole nother rabbit trail for another time. Needless to say, after a year of working there, moving up in ranks, they went to go renew my DA card, and it gets denied. I've already worked there for a year. Why would they? What do you mean my card's denied? Like, I've already been working here for a year. It was the Father. It was the Father put me in that place and took me right back out of that place for a reason. So I worked there for a year. I was able to collect unemployment. This time my daughter's about 2 years old, and she's really used to daddy going to work every night, because I work nights. I work at the grow facility, and in Arizona we have to have the lights on at night because it's too hot here to have them on during the day. So she's used to me going to work at night. So when I started being home at night, it actually caused problems. You know, anytime you break a kid's routine, they're going to react. And so me and my wife were like, hey, how about I'm just going to go to a coffee shop at night, and instead of going to work, I'll just go to a coffee shop and I'll do job search and stuff. I didn't even have a computer. I had to go buy a little laptop. I've always been kind of anti-computer or whatever, but
Hey, you were born in the Silicon Valley.
I know, yeah.
And you're anti-computer.
Tech-tard from the Silicon Valley. That's kind of plain nice running joke. If you look at my emails, I have about 6 emails that have been sent to me ever since I had an email address, and 5 of them are from him. So, anyways, so
4 of those are, dude, answer your email.
Right. I lose this job. I'm getting unemployment, and I start leaving the house at night. Instead of going to the grow facility, I go to a coffee shop with this new little laptop I bought, and I wasn't into I was in social media a while back ago when I was looking for girls, but I wasn't into it for any other reason. So I'm just going through YouTube. I'm just sitting there. I got my headphones in. I'm watching YouTube, and I randomly stumble on something. I don't even remember what it was, but it was something about something apocalyptic happening, whether it be Nibiru, Planet X, World War III. I don't remember what it was, but it scared me. Okay, it scared me, and so I'm like, man, this could be real. You know, that something like that could happen at any given time. So I start watching some preparedness channels. I stumbled on this preparedness channel. Some of you may or may not have heard it. It's called Viking Preparedness, and it's led by a guy named Pastor Joe Fox. The dude's awesome because I'm watching these preparedness channels, and I'm learning about gear review and SHTF and what to do for this and what to do. I'm getting all into the preparedness thing. And what happens is one of his videos, he's like, all right, now I know you guys are into the preparedness thing. Could you stop, press pause? Because I'm about to talk about God. And if you don't want to hear about God, then you know what? Go ahead, pause. Those of you that do, stay on. And I'm like, well, I like God. You know, I've always liked God. I've always had a passion for God. I just didn't know who God was.
Right.
And I was deceived very badly. Anyways, so I still on this guy's channel, and I start listening, and he goes, so being prepared is fine, one thing, but if you're not prepared and you're not right with the Most High, then you're not going to get through any of this. And I'm like, the Most High? Who's the Most High? I want to know what God is that, you know? And so, and then he starts talking about Yahweh and Yeshua, and I had never heard these words. So I start liking this guy even more. I'm like, what is it? Who is this? What religion is this? You know? And I didn't.
He says, when I'm thinking of Yahuwah, and you said, bless you.
Yeah, exactly, dude.
Right?
Like, what is this? You know? So I start power watching this guy's content. He's got 2 channels. He's got Viking Preparedness, and he's also got Shofar Mountain, which is more of a ministry channel, where he's actually a pastor from, you know, and every Shabbat he speaks from the podium. So I just start getting into this guy. Next thing I know, I hear him talking about something about, you know, and our brother, Zach Bauer. And I'm like, who's Zach Bauer? So I look up Zach Bauer. I power watch everything New Tutorial has online. I'm like, I'm just digging it. And I'm like, I'm feeling something happen, and I've never heard any of this stuff before. And they're like, no, this is the God of the Bible. Why have I not heard any of this?
Right. Now, when you're doing this at a coffee shop at night, and when you go home in the morning, are you like unloading all this information?
I'm trying to.
Okay.
But it's not being received very well yet. You know, it was a transition because I start to learn all this stuff goes together. We are a tribal people. You know, we're, you know, like your 12 tribes. Sure, we're a tribal people, and we're designed to be that way. And the beast system has us all separated. And
be an individual.
Yeah, be
the best that you can.
Yeah, go in a cubicle. I mean, it's just all. I'm not kidding.
Create your own image.
Once I woke up, it was like I literally was like, "Whoa!" I feel like I just snapped into like the Matrix unplugged. I'm like, "Whoa, this shit's real." Whatever it was, Witchcraft's real? Yep. Yep. What? Who runs the world? George Washington was a Freemason. What? I just like everything. Once the scales were peeled off my eyes, I got scared.
Right.
I got scared. I got real scared. And it was a fear of the God that I had not been serving. That's the fear. That it wasn't
the earth's going to end. It wasn't.
No. It was every breath I take is ordained by something that I had not been serving. And
you were given that breath.
Yes. And I just felt like I wasted a lot of time, and I got pissed. I got real pissed. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, I've always wanted to find God. Why didn't anybody show me where God was?
No.
You know? And so I was like, well, I'm not wasting any more time. I went and got myself a couple Bibles because I didn't know anything about the Bible. And what's the difference between the this, that, the NIV, the King James, the non-King James, the Zondervan, it all was confusing me. So I'm like, I'm going to figure it out. I'll just buy a pile of them and I'll put them together and figure something out, you know? And that's what I did. And then I hear Zach Bauer talking about, you know, something. And he's like, no, don't get me wrong. I love me some Rob Skiba. Who's Rob Skiba? Boom. I'm like, look at Rob Skiba. Go power watch everything I can find on Rob Skiba. Then, you know, so now I'm getting into it. I'm getting into the Bible. I'm reading the Bible. I'm telling my wife, hey, you know what? Why do all these people celebrate God, worship God on Sunday? That came back. I was like, it says here we're supposed to be doing this on Saturday. And so
Does it say Saturday?
Well, it says this seventh day, right?
Right. Okay. Seventh.
Quit trying to trick me, dude. Hey, I'm ignorant. I'll be the first one to tell you. I am not. I'm not a pro at any of it.
The only reason I'm asking is because someone's going to watch this in a year and they're going to look and they're going to go, the word Saturday's not even in the Bible.
Yeah. No. So sundown on Friday night till sundown on Saturday, the seventh day.
Or they're going to say, oh, look here, chap. I cannot find the word Saturday.
Yeah.
Okay.
And praise Yah for these men that are
Amen.
putting this content out, because if I would not have stumbled across these men that are putting this content out, I may have missed the mark again. I may have gone right back to looking for God where the only place I even thought that there was God. Because I go to church and church just did not make sense to me. The Bible did not make sense to me. It does now, but it didn't then.
All right.
So we're living at this rental house. We're starting to, come to an understanding of the way. And my wife is not opposed to it. She's not as gung-ho into it as I am at the time, but she's not opposed to it. She's hearing what I have to say, and she's starting to see.
She's seeing a change in
she's
you.
seeing the conversion.
Right.
Yeah, she's starting, like we talk about, what comes first, the conversion or the indwelling? And she's seeing this conversion because something's changing in me, and she sees it. And so we go look, and we're renting, and it's time to move. We had a 5-year rental agreement on this house, and it was coming up the end of the 5 years, and we needed to move, and we wanted to buy something. I had completely obliterated my credit and my reputation, background, anything. My past, I'm a piece of crap. Okay. But I'm not, that's not who I was. That's who I am not. And anyways, so she goes and tries to get a home loan on her own. Her dad's a realtor. And you know what? The first time that we together prayed in the name of Jesus was about this house. It wasn't, oh, please give us this house. It was, we don't know where we want to be. We want to be where you want us to be. If this isn't where you want us to be, please show us where you want us to be, because this is getting to, the end of our road. We need to move,
Let your will be done in our lives.
Right.
So that's huge in itself, right? Because before it's always, hey God, can you bless me going to the gym?
Yeah. Can you get me out of this?
Get me out of this? And this is the first time that you or your wife has said, what you want in our lives,
we need to know.
We need to know.
Yep.
Whether it's yes or no. Okay.
Right. Whether it's yes or no. So there's a whole other little interesting story about this house and how I found the house, not even a realtor, who was her dad at the time. It all was lined up. But there was some things trying to keep us from moving there, and I don't think it was the father. Because when we hit our knees and said, show us where you want us to be, everything fell through. We ended up with this property. So come out of her, my people. That was part of it. Originally, we would have just got a regular house, but we were like starting to become Torah observant, starting to read the Bible. I didn't even know what the Torah was. I thought that was another book. I didn't know. Again, one of my most common prayers is, Father, please forgive me of my ignorance, because I am very ignorant. Obviously, how deceived I was for so long. And so you people too, please forgive me of my ignorance. Anyways, we ended up moving out to the sticks. I mean, not real far, but we got out there a little bit. And we got a couple acres of land, and we got this house that we don't deserve. Actually, we weren't even supposed to be able to get the loan because it's got 2 houses on the property. So now we can use one as a rental property, and the blessings started coming in. And not these fake cereal box cheap little blessings that break in a couple days. The real blessings, the ones that the Father gives you when you keep his commandments. And so we move out there, and I'm like, look, we weren't supposed to be. By all intents and purposes, we should not have this property. We shouldn't be here. We need to treat this property with respect. And we started learning how to bless our land and repent for the sins of the people that lived in the house and the property before us, and learning about generational curses and learning about all these things. I tried to do a Bible study out there. I said, you know what, we're going to start doing a Saturday morning Bible study.
Now, this is right after you got saved for all intents and purposes, right? This is when you're, come on, horse, let's go do some work for the Lord.
Exactly.
Right?
But I don't know how to do that yet, and I don't really, but yeah, exactly. That's the conversion is happening. I hadn't been baptized yet, and we just kind of started doing Saturday Sabbath. I didn't even know what the 10 Commandments were yet. And it still amazes me to this day how many people claim to be Christians and could not tell you what the 10 Commandments are.
But they're going to be upset because they removed the 10 Commandments from the courthouse.
Let alone in chronological order.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's the other thing I've learned too is when I started realizing all the other stuff, the dark stuff that goes on in the demonic realm, you know, those that follow through the black, like I've learned that these powers and principalities are very legalistic. Yes, so why shouldn't I be legalistic then?
Right.
You know what I mean? Because we get accused all the time of being legalistic. Oh, you don't have to do that. You don't have to follow Torah. Those laws have been done. No, you know what? If these dark side that are trying to hurt me are being legalistic, I need to be legalistic too.
Right.
In order to combat that.
See, I find that interesting because the same people that are saying in a church, in a pulpit, that we aren't under God's law. We can do as we will. Do as thou wilt.
Yeah. To thy own self be true.
To your own self be true.
Yeah.
These same people are saying, as good followers of God, we have to follow all 4 million laws on the books that our country has. But, you know, just ignore the 612 or 23 laws that God passed down, and they don't even all apply to you.
Exactly. You'd have to be a farmer and a woman and a man and a
whatever. But and don't get me wrong, it has nothing to do with your salvation.
No.
It has nothing to. It's the owner's manual for this strange machine in which our spirit resides. Nothing to do with salvation. That was done at the cross.
Amen.
Okay. Now you got your car pulled off of the telephone pole. Drive it correctly.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, bro.
No, you're good. I like the car analogy. I use that one quite frequently because, and again, I don't mean to be blasphemous anyway when I say this, but if I were God, I would give an instruction manual just like a creator of a car gives an owner's manual. You know what I mean? And it tells you in that owner's manual what oil to put in your car. The Bible tells you what food to put in your body. You know, if I go and dump a bunch of Crisco into my oil, don't get mad if it stops working. If I go and stick a banana in the tailpipe of my vehicle, don't get mad if it stops working.
Well, this is not LGBT month, so
don't even get me started.
Anyways,
on that, you know what I mean?
Right?
Because they just keep adding a letter, dude. And when I saw that thing the other day where it said LBGTP, and I didn't know what the P was, and I looked that up, dude. I got pissed again. I get pissed. I get
Right.
real pissed. And you know what? When I said that, the gloves are coming off. Like, I'm done. Like, that's just, I get so mad that I was so deceived for so long. But anyways, so the conversion took place, and I would tell anybody that would listen. That I met a really good friend who was a non-believer, and I actually was able to, whatever I said with my little bit of knowledge and all being ignorant and all, I was able to share my testimony with someone else who's actually is in the chat right now. And I was able to watch someone else get saved, and I was actually baptized with him.
Beautiful.
And praise God, the blessings that have been bestowed upon us are unmeasurable.
They're immeasurable.
Immeasurable.
They're boundless.
Yeah, and it is, my life has never been better. I actually sleep through the night now. I have the most amazing relationship with my wife. I have some awesome friends. And you know what? I'll tell you guys, a year ago, I was just playing about this. I was feeling very alone and in this walk. And I know this is a common thread with a lot of people because you can only communicate with people online. But there is a great awakening. There is a revival taking place. And the Lord is waking people up in droves, all different kinds of people, ignorant people like me. He's just waking people up. He's just whispering in their ear, this is where I'm at. Come find me. And it's happening, and it's happening in a big, big way. And I was able to see someone else get saved and baptized. And then, you know, the Father sent someone that wasn't saved yet, and that was younger than me, and I watched him get saved. And the Father sent someone like plain that's older than me, that has more biblical knowledge than me, and my prayers are just being answered over and over because I serve a mighty God now, the Most High now. And it is such a blessing. It's very humbling. And I truly work out my salvation through fear and trembling. Now, fear of the Creator. You know, when I serve the Father, he restores me. And when I don't, he destroys me. And it's just that simple because ultimately we are in the palm of his hands. Every breath I take is ordained by him. And once you see that, it's like, yes, I will. My face hits the ground. I look up. You know, it's different. It's so different when you realize who the Most High is.
All praise.
Yeah, all praise and glory to the Most High. That is nothing. This is not me.
It's a huge testimony, man.
So, anyways, now what do I do now? Where am I at now? The whole prepper thing's still kind of a part of my life, but I'm not a prepper anymore. You know, I realized that it doesn't matter. Anything I try to build isn't mine anyways. It's all more of a different kind. It's more of a homesteading, farmsteading, self-sustaining lifestyle. And I watch the Father grow the plants and raise the chickens.
Right.
And you know,
I plant the seed and I water, but God gives the increase.
Exactly. And believe me, because I'll kill it. I kill plants all the time.
Yeah.
You know? But my life is so different now.
You know, sorry about that.
No.
Those jalapenos, I'm probably the only person anybody out there has ever seen that grows dehydrated jalapenos on the bush, right? But oh my gosh. Yeah. Crushed red pepper does grow on the bush. Trust me.
Anyways.
Yeah, man.
So now, you know, I truly try to practice prayer without ceasing. And that is where I've been able to overcome a lot of the sin in my life. Have I been driven white as snow? No. I still smoke cigarettes. You know, I'm not perfect. But that kind of stuff, I'm being convicted of that stuff. It is getting chiseled away. You know,
now, what is that? What do you, to you? Okay. I'm not going to ask you what your I'm not going to ask you what scripture means, but to you, what does it mean to you to pray without ceasing?
So for me, that's a good question. For what it means to me is, so there's two different types of prayer. When I wake up in the morning, I instantly start dialoguing with the Father in my head. Instantly. Good morning, Papa. How are you? What are we going to do today? And I just start thinking as I'm walking over to get my coffee and stuff. And then I have separate times where I actually go into my prayer closet and I close the door. And that's usually when I'm praying for other people, other situations, other kind of things, like whether it be the prayer army, whether it be something like that. If it's something really important that's going on in with people that I know, anytime I've fasted, I feel like I've been called to fast, and literally the desire to eat or feed the flesh is taken from me.
Right.
It's just not there. I'm like, wow, I haven't eaten all day. Why do you want me to fast? Oh, you need me to fast? Okay, then I continue with it. And then my prayer increases. And but the praying without ceasing, to me, is wherever I'm at, whatever I'm doing. I don't listen to secular music anymore. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I spent so much time wasting. Right. I wasted so much of my life. I just don't want to have anything to do. I don't want to wear clothes with logos. I don't want to have anything to do with this beast system, because I was so wrapped up in it for so long, serving the enemy, that when the scale was peeled off my eyes, I got pissed. And so now I'm going to take my rebellion and I'm going to rebel towards the dark and follow Yahweh, and that's praying without ceasing. It's when I'm driving in the car. It's when I'm at the grocery store. It's when I'm taking my daughter to the park. It's every person I come in contact with. Are you friend? Are you foe? And if you're not friend, then I need to try to tell you what happened with me to make you foe. I mean, to make you friend.
Friend.
Yeah, like it's just that.
Right.
And it's a war. It's a constant war. Boots on the ground all the time. Where is the battle taking place? And you can't pay too much attention on one thing, or you're going to get blindsided, like Jared talks about.
Right. Absolutely.
And
oh man, everything is so filled with distraction right now. Right now it is children.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying we don't need to help children. When all eyes are focused, I use the same analogy. Whenever the magician is saying, look, nothing up my sleeves, is when he's pulling the switcheroo.
Yeah. Yep. And Jared says, he just slides the knife in real quietly from behind.
Yeah.
And I feel it, and it happens. And I've been blindsided, and I have backslidden, and I have fallen short and stuff. But it's different. I get up, I get more pissed. I brush myself off. I know where the attack came. No. I'm not going back there.
Yeah.
What am I doing wrong? What do I need to do more of? Where can I be more of service? Who can I? What are you trying to distract me from? Who should I? And it's just a whole. My head's on a swivel now. It's just different. A whole different life.
Yeah, for me, praying without ceasing, I all day long.
All day.
Talking to Abba and Yeshua and Jesus and God and Father all day long.
All day.
Yeah. So okay, that's an amazing thing. Your wife has now come around.
Yeah, we actually there's a guy in the chat room. He can reveal himself if he wants. There's not that many people in there.
He did already.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's my buddy. We were all baptized together on my property. I had hand dug a small little pond, and we rubber lined it. And my daughter was there too, but I kind of conflicted about that. I think baptism should take place when you decide it should take place. When you're convicted. When you're convicted, right. So people baptizing their kids, not that there's anything wrong with it, but
they may be getting baptized again.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah, we had my wife was baptized. My wife, she's commandment keeper. She's, she's a soldier. She's a soldier for the Lord now. And it's cool. It's cool to watch. And she's got her own walk, and the Father's working on her in her own way, in her own time. And I can't be a part of that. It's not my thing. I know she's saved. I know she's spirit filled, and how she chooses to have that personal connection with the Father, that's up to her. You know what I mean? That's, for me, it's from the time I open my eyes till the time I close them.
Well, it's like you said, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. We can't, what you need to do to have a relationship.
Right.
But actually, that's kind of hypocritical, because what I'm going to ask next.
What's that?
Okay, so I'm 23 years old, right?
Yeah.
I lost my woman I'm using the needle, I'm smoking crack, I'm drinking. What's your advice? Or I'm going to that 12-step program. What is your advice in 20 words or less? What can you say, if you can, in 20 words or less? How can that person escape that?
What I would say is, what's going on with you, whoever the person is something that is way bigger than you, that you can't see, taste, feel, or touch. It's around you, and it has nothing to do with the chemical, and it has everything to do with keeping you from the truth. And the truth is in the Word, and the Word is the Bible. And we are all sick sinners in need of a Savior. And thank God, thank Yah that He came down and said, take me. Take me. And if you truly seek it with all your heart, you'll find it. You'll find it. This is why, see, faith without works is dead. This is why we need to be out there witnessing, because nobody ever told me the truth. I needed to hear it somewhere. And it wasn't until I found Pastor Joe Fox on Biking Preparedness till I even heard where the truth was. I didn't even know what the truth was. Right. I am the way, the life, and the truth. I don't care what the truth is. I just want to know what the truth is.
Right.
I don't care what it is. Just tell me the truth.
And that's similar to something I went through too. I don't even care if I go to hell or die or anything. I just want to know the truth.
Right.
So,
and the truth will set you free from whatever it is.
Amen.
I don't know if that's 20 words or less, but
it's a Jimmy 20.
Yeah, it's a Jimmy 20.
You got that $20 show me? All right. So you know what, everybody, that sums it up right there. I mean, that's awesome. No matter what you go through, no matter how much you drag yourself through the dirt and the muck and the dirt and the filth and the grossness and the, what's the word you use? Debauchery. Look that one up. That, it says in, I think Ezekiel, the wicked person, the wicked, horrible, sinning person, when you turn to me and truly walk in my statutes, that's all behind. I will not bring it up again. That's what our Father says. And, I can tell you, for me, myself, I was, it wasn't a God of my understanding. It was a God preached from the pulpit, but it was one that did not have me follow my face to seek Him. So, Jimmy, man, thank you for coming over.
Yeah.
Love you, brother. Love you, man. Everybody, I love you too. Thank you very much for hanging out with us. Appreciate it. And we will see you very soon. We're going to have Jimmy back on soon also. So
for the box set.
For the box set. We're going to be making this thing.
Because we got some rabbit trails we can go down. Big time.
Plenty of rabbit trails. And anyways, love you all. Thanks for showing up. Appreciate it.
Shalom.